10 famously well-known people who've had COVID-19 and survived healthy. With over 10 million people around the world already infected with COVID-19 and more than half of that recovered, it's to be expected that a number of them would be someone famous. Highly active social lives and constant trips around the world left these esteemed members of society particularly exposed to infection during the first months of 2020. In today's video, we'll reveal how the coronavirus has managed to make its way into all levels of society, including sports, politics, the film and entertainment industries, and even royalty, as we spotlight these 10 famous people that have tested positive for the virus, proving that fame and fortune doesn't make you immune to diseases. But before we start, please support our channel by clicking like, subscribe, and hitting that notification bell for new videos. 10. Prince Charles, tested positive in mid-March. The first member of our list proves that the coronavirus doesn't discriminate. The Prince of Wales was tested by the NHS and came out positive only shortly after his last visit with his mother, the Queen of England. This got Buckingham Palace rightfully worried for the monarch's health. However, no news of a queenly infection reached our ears, and Prince Charles, along with his wife, recovered after suffering symptoms during a self-imposed week in isolation at their house in Scotland. Considering his age, he was quite lucky to make it out unharmed. 9. Novak Djokovic, tested positive on June 22nd. The world of sports has been in turmoil more than once during this pandemic. Confinement can make otherwise sane and calm players behave recklessly, and that behavior brings consequences. This is exactly what happened in June when the world's #1 tennis player Novak Djokovic organized a non-ATP exhibition series in Serbia and Croatia, in which him, his wife Jelena, and 5 other top tennis players caught the virus. Apart from coping with COVID symptoms, Djokovic has had to face a storm of criticism for organizing an event that drew more than 4,000 people together, while he and the other players enjoyed playing as usual without any kind of preventative measures. They were even spotted clubbing after the tournament. Talk about irresponsible. 8. Madonna, tested positive on May 1st. The Queen of Pop once described the coronavirus as the great equalizer, and the virus did not spare her. The curious thing about her particular case is that she tested positive for antibodies, which means she had been infected with the virus and had already pulled through. Was she asymptomatic, or did she hide her illness until she had recovered just to avoid uncomfortable questions about where she'd been and with whom? 7. Christopher Hivju, tested positive on May 17th. The Norwegian actor, best known for playing the roles of Tormund Giantsbane in the HBO fantasy series of Game of Thrones, came down with COVID-19 in mid-May and posted about it on his Instagram. After self-isolating with his entire family and only suffering mild symptoms of a cold, he is now completely healthy and enjoying some time off from work with his family. 6. Pink, tested positive on April 3rd. Pop singer Pink is way more than a little bit famous, so when the news broke out that she had tested positive for coronavirus, everyone turned their heads. However, by the time she revealed it, she had already recovered. A couple of days later, she managed to get 2 test kits for her 3-year-old son, who also tested positive, and who, despite most infants showing very mild symptoms or no symptoms at all, came down with high fever, headaches, and vomiting. They're all fine now, and the diva donated $1 million to hospitals to support research and treatment for coronavirus patients. 5. Colton Underwood, tested positive on March 20th. The Bachelor star Colton Underwood admitted to testing positive for coronavirus on March 20th through his Instagram. Although only 28 years old and in otherwise good health, COVID hit him hard, leaving him out of commission for several days. He described in his Instagram the most common symptoms of the disease, including the virus-induced exhaustion that didn't let him even go up a flight of stairs. In an attempt to turn his sickness into something positive, he used his case to campaign for people to stay at home while showing his fans that coronavirus is no joke. 4. Boris Johnson, tested positive on March 27th. It's not only the English royalty that has been hit by the pandemic, but also its high-profile politicians, as Boris Johnson, British Prime Minister, was hit very hard by the coronavirus. We all witnessed how he had to struggle with the disease, and many feared that he wouldn't make it. Since his recovery, he has been leading the UK's fight against the coronavirus. 3. Andrea Bocelli tested positive on an unknown date. The Italian tenor singer and opera superstar confirmed that he and other members of his family had tested positive for coronavirus, but had decided to keep it quiet. The reason was that their symptoms were rather mild, and he didn't want to attract any unneeded attention to himself and his family. He also said that causing alarm over such mild symptoms, while there were others who were dying by the hundreds in his own country, felt like a lack of respect to those who were suffering. 2. Chris Cuomo, CNN, tested positive, date unknown. Younger brother of New York governor and a journalist and anchor on CNN International. During his illness, Cuomo described each and every symptom he felt, including a fever so high that he started having hallucinations of his dead father. He is completely recovered now, and so have all other members of his family who had also caught the virus. 1. Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson, tested positive on March 11th. Number 1 on our list of famous people who have had COVID-19 is one of the most beloved actors to have ever hit the silver screen, and he also happens to have been the first high-profile Hollywood actor to catch the virus. He was with his wife, Rita Wilson, in Australia for the pre-production of a movie about the King, Elvis Presley, when he caught the virus. Both actors came down with cold-like symptoms and responsibly decided to get tested, coming out positive. They immediately self-isolated and complied with Australian authorities. Since recovery, they're both still very careful, considering that scientists don't know whether antibodies grant immunity towards the virus. Who on the list surprised you the most? What other famous people do you know to have survived the coronavirus? Leave a comment and join the discussion. This wraps up our video on 10 famously well-known people who've had COVID-19 and survived healthy. Thanks for watching.